Hello, my dear students. I'm happy to see you again in another episode of the English language in our program. أهلا بكم أعزائي الطلبة ومبسوطة إني بشوفكم تاني في حلقة جديدة من برنامجنا خاصة باللغة الإنجليزية for the third year secondary students لطلبة الصف الثالث الثانوي. Today we're talking about lesson 2. النهارده هنتكلم عن lesson 2, but let's first check quickly or try to remember some information or check the vocabulary of the previous lesson. هنحاول بسرعة كده نعمل check became question من ال questions or the type of questions that you may have in your test. You need to practice a lot, of course, so please focus and concentrate with me. So the first question is related to the previous episode about Harry Potter and the vocabulary that we had. The question says, the store had falsely space that its products were all natural. What is the answer? Is it improved, tried, claimed, suggested? So the store had falsely what? Falsely what? Do you remember the word telling false news or telling false claims? So the answer, of course, is had falsely claimed. Okay? So this is the correct answer when we tell something wrong or we're not sure whether it's right or wrong. The trial was fully reported in the space. All important TV channels and famous newspapers sent reporters. So remember, I want you to answer or write down the answer. عايزاكم تكتبوا الإجابات ضروري. I'm gonna check all of those answers in the comments. فجاوبوا انتوا قبل ما أنا أجاوب. The trial was fully reported in the space. All important TV channels and famous newspapers sent reporters. What is it? Is it going to be press, tabloid, media, or paper? By the way, all of them are different media types. كلهم أنواع مختلفة من الميديا. Which one should be here? Can you see the rest of the sentence? شايفين تكملة الجملة؟ هي اللي فيها الكلو. It's the part that has the clue. All important TV channels and famous newspapers sent reporters. So we have TV, newspapers, so it's different types of media. So the correct answer is media. The trial was fully reported in the media. Unfortunately, the movie was broadcast online by a or an who had stolen a copy. Unfortunately, the movie was broadcast online by a what? A person who had stolen a copy. Who's that person? What do we call this person? Reverse, evaluation, deceit, or cheat? Of course, cheat. Okay? The word deceit is a noun and it gives similar meaning but it doesn't describe a person. كلمة deceit هي فعلا بتدي نفس المعنى ولكن هي مش بتوصف بني آدم. The word cheat can describe a person. So the noun or the word or noun that describes a person is called deceiver. Okay? So if I have deceiver, it's equivalent or equal to cheat. Okay? So here I can't use deceit. I can use the word cheat. By a cheat who had stolen. My grandfather is over 70 years old and pays constant care. My grandfather is over 70 years old. كبير فوق ال70 سنة and pays constant care. ماله بقى؟ Needs, محتاج constant care. So which word do you think is due here or is supposed to be here the answer? Inquires, asks, demands, release. Okay? He doesn't ask, مش هو اللي بيطلب. ده احنا بنقول he needs, هو محتاج. يبقى which word? Of course the word demands. Okay? My grandfather is over 70 years old and demands constant care. بيتطلب أو بيحتاج constant care. Okay. So, here as you see we're done with this part. The part of the revision, but right now we're gonna start our session. Okay, so let's start our session, which is lesson 2 in Unit 1 الدرس الثاني لUnit 1 and today we're gonna focus more on grammar. النهارده هنركز أكتر على الجرامر من الكلمات but for sure we always learn new words so get the chance or seize the chance. حاولوا كده تغتنموا فرصة إن أي نص خاص بالreading أو listening أو whatever. I learn or collect a lot of vocabulary. أنا بجمع كلمات كتير and at the same time I can learn a lot of grammar. So all of those texts in your book, whether the listening script or the reading, they are very rich with grammar rules that you need. بتعلمكوا حاجات خاصة بالgrammar and also it teaches you things related to new words, new expressions, كلمات جديدة, مصطلحات جديدة. So when you read, you have to highlight. Remember the word highlight from the previous episode. يعني أعلم أو أحط علامة واضحة على الكلمات المهمة وقاعدة الجرامر المهمة. So let's check today what we're gonna do. Let's have a look at our learning objectives. By the end of this lesson, the students will be able to identify some vocabulary in different contexts. So vocabulary again, yes, عندنا الكلمات ورانا. Review past simple, هنراجع ال past simple, past continuous and present perfect tenses. We had those tenses before in the previous years. درسنا التنسز دي قبل كده. We're going to review them. Of course, today's episode is not going to be enough for this check. We're going to mention the grammar part again in other episodes. هنتكلم كده النهارده بشكل عام عن التنسز الثلاثة دول ولسه في sessions تانيين. We're going to check more grammar about this lesson in other sessions as well. Read a script for gist and detailed information. السكريبت الخاص بالlistening هنقراه to know more information, to try to get or understand some information from this listening script. Let's start. يلا بينا نبدأ. Today we're having a dialogue or a conversation. It's an interview actually. هي مقابلة في قناة between a reporter and a journalist. The reporter of the channel is having an interview بيعمل كده لقاء okay with a journalist مع حد صحفي journalist. Okay, so as you see in the pictures here, this is the reporter, or this is what we mean by the reporter. On the left side is a person who works in a channel. It could be TV channel or even any other types of channels. And we have also the journalist, الصحفي, on the right. Okay, so let's see what's the conversation about or what's the interview about. Before we know what's in the interview, I want you to highlight certain ideas in the listening. واحنا كده ماشيين في listening عايزاكم كده تعرفوا لي مجموعة الحاجات اللي احنا هنشوفها حالا دلوقتي. Follow the listening script and decide which part of the talk shows. ايه جزء من التوك او من الكلام اللي في listening script بيتكلم عن المواقف دي. A situation happened and finished in the past. جزء من الكلام بتاع الجورناليست بيتكلم عن مواقف في الماضي حصلت وخلصت في الماضي. This part is very important. So واحنا بنقرا او انتوا بتتابعوا معايا, I want you to highlight this is a situation in the past. This is another situation that happened related to the past and the present. يعني بيريليت ال past وال present او بيدمج ال past وال present مع بعض. Okay, this is another situation that happened and finished in the past but took longer time. ده كده situation تاني حصل في الماضي بس خد وقت طويل أو بيقول لي عايز يقول لي إنه هو خد وقت طويل. وطول ما إحنا ماشيين I want you to highlight those verbs and highlight those situations. A situation happened and finished in the past. A situation that lasted for a longer time in the past. استمر لفترة طويلة في الماضي. اوكي يبقى اكيد عرفتوا ده اي tense. Current experience يعني خبرة حالية that has been gained through time. ولكن الخبرة الحالية دي أنا بكتسبها إزاي؟ أكيد مش دلوقتي حالا كونت خبرة. I gained it through the time. So it started in the past. ابتدت في الماضي and it has its own reflection on the present time. وليها التأثير بتاعها في المضارع. Okay, تفتكروا what tense is the one that does this? It relates the past to the present. Of course, the present perfect. Okay? طيب, I want you to highlight those tenses or those situations that the journalist talks about in the interview and refer to what time. راجعوا كده ايه الوقت بتاع السيتويشن ده؟ ماضي مستمر في الماضي ولا present perfect. Okay? Let's start. The reporter says, how did you get into journalism? How did you get into journalism? Okay? Get into journalism means how did you start? How did you, what are the things that lead you to this job? ازاي دخلت المجال ده؟ مجال الجورناليزم اللي هي of course الصحافة. Okay? As you see, I highlighted this for you. أنا علمت لكم دي. طبعا did you get? Of course he's asking about a past experience. Okay? So I want you to do the same. اعملوا انتوا ده بقى بنفسكم in your books, in some of your notes. If you'd like to write it as a comment, عايزين تكتبوها في comment, please do. برضو اعملوا ده. I started as a trainee on a local newspaper and then I started a 3-year apprenticeship. I started, so are we talking here about the present time? No, I don't think so. Are we talking here about the past and present together? احنا بنتكلم كده على حاجة حاصلة في الباست وكمان في البريزنت مع بعض. No, because the start was in the past. البداية كانت في الماضي. هو ابتدى في الماضي. Okay? So he's talking about a past experience. So we need to use the past simple, or sometimes we may use the past continuous. We're gonna see the difference. Okay? So I started as a trainee. متدرب. ابتديت كمتدرب on a local newspaper. صحيفة محلية. Local. And then I started a 3-year apprenticeship. بعد كده ابتديت 3-year apprenticeship. It means 3 years as a trainee. ابتديت أشتغل كمتدرب. Apprenticeship. حد جديد داخل في المكان وبيشتغل كمتدرب ولكن ممكن يقبض فلوس. So that's why we call them apprenticeship. Okay? I've written for many newspapers since that time. كتبت في many newspapers since that time. When we say since that time, من أيام الوقت ده till now, this is what he means. يقصد من بداية الوقت اللي فات ده لحد دلوقتي because he still writes in newspaper. هو لغاية دلوقتي بيكتب في many newspapers. Okay? فهو عايز يقول لنا هو ابتدى يكتب من زمان ولسه لحد دلوقتي okay بيكتب في newspaper. So that's why he used the present perfect. عشان كده استخدم المضارع التام. Very simple. بسيطة قوي. طالما الشخص اللي بيتكلم لسه عايش وبيتكلم عن تجربته أو his experience that started in the past and continued or lasted till the present time. مستمرة لغاية الوقت المضارع ابتدت من زمان وتستمرت للمضارع والبيرسون لسه عايش. بنتكلم عن person هو لسه موجود ولسه بيعمل ده. Then we're gonna use the present perfect. Okay? That's why we have here the word I've written. I've written. Okay? I have written. Have with the past participle. And of course, since is one of, let's say, the key words of the tense. Okay? One of the words that we use or refer to that tense. Okay. So, what advice, the reporter says, what advice can you give a student reporter like me? تدي بقى نصيحة لستودنت ريبورتر زي ازاي؟ أنا لسه طالب وعايز أتعلم منك. The journalist said, learn from your mistakes. اتعلم من أخطائك. When I was first interviewing people, I was asking too many questions. Can you see the shift in tenses here? شايفين هنا الاختلافات في التنسز؟ There was we can call it a grandma story أو قصة كده يعني قديمة أو تقليدية نشرها بعض الناس إنه when you start with a tense you have to continue using the same tense till the end. لما أجي أتكلم بدأت بتنس هفضل مستمرة بيه للآخر. Of course this is wrong. ده غلط. دي حاجة يعني very common mistake. ده خطأ شائع جدا. You have to avoid it and you have to think differently. غيروا طريقة mindset of thinking about tenses. غيروا طريقة تفكيرنا في tenses. When we use a tense, we use it to express a certain situation. وأنا بتكلم الكلام العادي بتاعي، الكلام الناتشرال الطبيعي، I have to use different tenses. لازم استخدم أزمنة مختلفة. ممكن I'm having a dialogue or a conversation with you right now. بنتكلم سوا، فبحكي لك ده أنا عملت امبارح والحكاية دي أثرت عليا لغاية دلوقتي إزاي، وكمان ممكن أحكي على إن امبارح حصل حاجة وفضلت لوقت طويل. Okay? All of those different situations need different tenses. كل المواقف المختلفة دي محتاجة tenses برضو مختلفة تعبر عنها. So, for example, here I say, when I was first interviewing people. Was interviewing يعني كنت بعمل interviews. Okay, this was his job in the past. In the past, he's talking about the past. وخبرته زمان اللي هي اختلفت دلوقتي. اوكي بقى more mature وبقى أنضج أكتر، بس زمان كان مستمر continued to do something. Was interviewing people and he was asking too many questions. استمر فترة كده يسأل الناس أسئلة كتير. Okay? Let the person talk and always listen very carefully. Okay, so his advice is not to talk a lot or ask a lot of questions. You should listen carefully and let the guest or the person talk. Give both sides of the story. Give both sides of the story. ندي الحاجتين من الستوري، الجانبين من الستوري، مش وجهة نظري أنا بس. And make sure it means be certain. Try إن أنت تأكد. Any facts or quotes are accurate. Make sure any facts you bring should be accurate, should be correct. تبقى دقيقة الفاكتس اللي انت بتديها. When I first wrote news stories, لما ابتديت أكتب news stories, can you see here? We shifted quickly to the past simple. غيرنا الزمن بتاعنا للpast simple here. When I first wrote news stories, I often included my own feelings and opinions. لما أنا ابتديت, okay, can you see here we related the two actions or the two sentences with the word when. ربطنا الجملتين when, okay? So I use when as a conjunction and to link two sentences. They could be in the past. They could be in the past or the present or whatever, but I use it to link two sentences and make them one, or two actions and make them related to each other. So when I first wrote news stories, an action in the past, I often included my own feelings and opinions. Included is in the past too. كان دايما يحط الفيلينجز بتاعته في الستوريز اللي بيكتبها. Okay, وآراءه, opinions. We use also the word often to your surprise and your shock. لمفاجأتكم انتوا بقى ناس كتيرة جدا said or told you that often, always, sometimes are used only in the present simple. Again, this is a common mistake. This is wrong. We can use the word often, always, sometimes, usually, whatever. We use them to refer to a past habit. So they are only adverbs. Adverbs, frequency, adverbs of frequency. We use them to show that this thing was repeated whether in the past or in the present. احنا بس بنقول نستخدم كلمة often و always عشان نقول ان الحاجة دي كانت بتتكرر. تتكرر بقى كانت عادة في الماضي، كانت عادة في present. It's okay. You can use it at both tenses with no problem. تقدر نستخدمها في two tenses عادي جدا. Okay? This was not good. هو بيcriticize himself بيقول this wasn't good. If you're writing a news story, try to be objective. لو أنت بتكتب news story يعني قصة للأخبار, try to be objective. This word is very important too. What do we mean by the word objective? Objective means I am not subjective. لا أنا مش بفكر بنفسي بطريقتي أو برأيي أنا. I have to be objective. لازم أبقى محايد. Okay? Reporter says, have you ever interviewed anyone famous? Have you ever interviewed anyone famous? Can you tell me what tense is here? Why did we use the present perfect here? ليه استخدمنا ال present perfect هنا? Am I asking about a certain thing? I'm asking about the whole experience. starting from the past till now. أنا بسأل على الإكسبيرينس بتاعته من زمان لحد دلوقتي. Have you ever interviewed anyone famous؟ عمرك في حياتك ما حددتش time، أنا ما قلتلوش in the last year مثلا أو last year. No, I just said have you ever interviewed along your life starting from the past era till the present time. Have you ever interviewed a famous person or anyone famous? Of course, we use the word ever in questioning to refer to the present perfect tense as well. So the journalist answered, I've interviewed lots of celebrities. ده أنا عملت interviews ل lots of celebrities. Again, he used the present perfect because again, he's talking in general along his life. The reporter said, who was the most annoying person you've interviewed؟ من أكتر حد كده عمل لك قلق، حد كان مزعج في الناس اللي أنت عملت لهم interviewed. Again, he didn't specify a certain time. ما حددش وقت محدد. هو قال من بداية حياتك لغاية دلوقتي مين كان مزعج؟ افتكر لنا حد كده. طيب أول ما هيجي يفتكر حد ويتكلم عنه بعينه، حد هو قبله في الماضي ويبتدي يتكلم عنه، خلاص كده حددنا تايمينج، حددنا وقت. افتكر حد في خبرته السابقة، يبقى we need to shift the tense. لازم نغير التنس. ليه؟ أنا دلوقتي بتكلم على specific experience in the past. أنا بتكلم على خبرة محددة في الماضي. أوكي؟ عشان كده هنلاقي the whole tenses have changed. Let's see the reply of the journalist. تعالوا نشوف الرد بتاع الجورناليست. There was one grumpy person. ما قالش there has been. لا، there was because it's a specific experience in the past. حددها خلاص وكانت في الماضي. There was one grumpy person that I remember. I was interviewing a well-known actor when he told me to be quiet. So we have a continuous action here. During the interview, another action interrupted it. Action تاني قطعها. يبقى الانترفيو started, continued for some time, and during that time, an action stopped it or an action happened in the middle. مش ضروري يوقفها بس حصل في النص. Okay? So the action that started first and continued and lasted for some time is of course the past continuous, as long as we're talking about the past. And the other action that interrupted it in the middle واللي قطعوا في النص ده يبقى past simple. Okay? As long as they don't go in parallel. لا هما ما ابتدوش سوا، ما مشيوش سوا، ما استمروش سوا، ده حصل وده حصل قطعوا في النص وخلص بسرعة والتاني استمر برضو. Okay? So the continuous action should be in the past continuous and the other one should be in the past. And I linked the two sentences using when. كمان ربطناهم بكلمة when. So I was interviewing a well-known actor when he told me to be quiet. The actor بيرخم عليه بقى وكده. The actor didn't want to answer my questions. Didn't want to answer my questions. Again, we're talking about the past. The negative past simple. Didn't want to because I'm talking about a specific experience in the past. The reporter asked, is it hard job? Is it a hard job to work, of course, as a journalist? Is it a hard job? The journalist said, it can be. يعني ساعات ممكن. Sometimes I wonder why I'm tired. I ask myself, أنا تعبان ليه؟ بسأل نفسي. And I remember that I've worked for 12 hours without a break. وافتكر كده ده أنا فضلت أو اشتغلت. I've worked for 12 hours. Okay? When I use the word for, again, I refer to the present perfect. I've worked for 12 hours. اشتغلت لمدة 12 ساعة. Okay? Without a break. So, journalists usually love what they do. الجورناليست ده غالبا بيحبوا اللي بيعملوه. Okay? Reporter says, what kind of person does a good journalist have to be? What kind of person does a good journalist have to be? Oh, I want you to focus on that question because we're starting to talk about the qualities of a good journalist. أنا بغششكم الأسئلة اللي هسألها لكم أهو. إحنا عايزين نركز على البوينت دي. Focus on that point because there is a question at the end after we finish asking about the qualities. بتسأل على the qualities of a journalist. So highlight or write down the qualities of a good journalist. You obviously, this is the answer, you obviously have to be good at writing. Obviously يعني clearly, okay, you clearly have to be good at writing. لازم طبعا تكون كويس في writing, but you also have to be a naturally nosy person. It comes from the word nose. النوز اللي هي طبعا أنفنا. طب اللي بيحشر بقى مناخيره في الحاجات ده بنسميه nosy person, okay? And that's why we call it nosy. It comes from the word nose. So a journalist has to have curiosity. لازم يكون عنده الفضول. So he's a naturally nosy person. And you really need to be interested in people. يكون عندك اهتمام في الناس. I've worked with a lot of journalists and the best ones have these three qualities. اشتغلت على مدار حياته. He's talking about his experience. He's talking about his experience without referring to a certain time or a definite time. So that's why he used the present perfect. بتكلم عن خبرته. على مدار حياتي اشتغلت مع ناس كتير. حتى الآن till now من ماضي لغاية دلوقتي يبقى present perfect على طول. As long as he didn't determine any timing. ما حطش كده وقت أو توقيتات في الماضي في الكلام ده. Okay? And the three qualities. Those three qualities are the qualities of a good journalist. What advice the reporter is asking? What advice would you give to young people listening who want to become journalists? طب تدي بقى نصيحة لل young people who want to be journalists إيه؟ The journalist says, get some experience on the school newspaper or work for a local newspaper for free. لازم تاخد experience من school newspaper. So that's why it's important to start writing from now. مهم ان انتوا تعملوا practice للwriting من دلوقتي because it will help you a lot in the future. هتساعدكم كتير في المستقبل. Or work for a local newspaper for free. اشتغل مجانا. It's okay. And don't give up. Don't give up. What do we mean by the word give up? Don't surrender. ما تستسلمش. Don't give up. Keep trying. يعني استمر في المحاولات. Keep trying until someone gives you a chance. لحد ما تلاقي حد في الآخر بيديلك فرصة. Give you a chance. Give a chance. Keep trying. Give up. All of those are good expressions to learn. كلها مصطلحات حلوة تتعلموها and you can use it in your speaking a lot. I was working as a volunteer. We made a shift in the tense here. غيرنا التنس تاني. يبقى أكيد في سبب. في سبب إنه اختار was working. The past continuous. There is a reason. أكيد في سبب. I was working as a volunteer. كنت بشتغل as a volunteer مستمر. And at a shop وفي محل while I was at university. يبقى those two actions happened in parallel. So he was in the university and at the same time he was working in a shop as a volunteer. متطوع. Okay? Why? Because he wants to gain experience very quickly. So, and I applied for 18 jobs before I got my first full-time job. I applied for 18 jobs before I got my first full-time job. An action happened and finished in the past. هو عايز يقول لنا بس الأكشن حصل وخلص في الماضي. Applied for 18 jobs before I got. And we use the word before here to relate the two sentences and make them one. Okay? 12 years later I'm still here. وبعد 12 سنة أنا لسه موجود وثابت في مكاني. Okay. Let's have those questions. What are the qualities of a good journalist? شفتوا أنا غششتكم الquestion. المفروض أنتوا دلوقتي تكونوا عرفتوا إيه الأنسر بتاعته. What are the qualities of a good journalist? Okay? If you say that this is a good journalist, then why? There are some certain qualities. إيه هي بقى صفاته? Please write them down. We have 3 different qualities from the script. The previous script. You can refer to the episode. ممكن ترجعوا الحلقة تاني لو انتوا نسيتوا وتبصوا عليه تاني وتطلعوا ال qualities. And it's gonna be very brilliant from you if you add more. وهيبقى حلوة قوي لو انتوا ضفتوا حاجة زيادة أو another quality that he didn't mention. Like for example, I can see here in the picture that we have the word press and this person is standing in a damaged or ruined area. شخص ده واقف في منطقة مدمرة زي ما يكون حرب. Then one of the qualities I'm going to add is that he should be adventurous. هو لازم يكون adventurous. لازم يكون عنده حس المغامرة. Okay? What about you? Okay? طيب تعالوا نشوف. Let's move on and quickly check the past simple tense. Past simple describes actions which started and finished in the past. حاجات حصلت وخلصت في الماضي. This is the past simple. Like for example, there was a grumpy person that I remember. The actor didn't want to answer my questions. Okay. A sequence of actions or events in the past. يعني أحداث كتيرة حصلت في الماضي ورا بعضيها. First, then, next, before and after. We can use them both in the same tense or change the tenses. ممكن تستخدم جمل before و after نفس ال past simple أو تخلي واحدة past simple واحدة past perfect. It's okay. I started as a trainee on a local newspaper and then I started a 3-year apprenticeship. Repeated actions and habits in the past. لما بكرر الأكشن والhabits بتاعت الماضي. When I first wrote news stories, I often included my own feelings and opinions. How did I know that it's repeated? From the word often. كلمة often ادتني الفrequency. ده هو بيتكرر كتير. So I often included. It's in the past and it used to be one of his habits in the past. Now, let's quickly answer some questions about the past simple. He usually stays late for the training sessions when he was a member in the team. He usually arrives, used to arrive, arrived. Of course, I'm going to use the word arrived here. Why? First of all, he said he was a member in the team, so I must choose a past verb. لازم أختار فعل في الماضي because past attracts past. التكملة بتاعت الجملة the rest of the sentence was past. يبقى ما اختارش مضارع أبدا. How comes? I'm talking about a past experience in this situation. And of course, I can't use used to arrive with the word usually. I want to show that it's a habit in the past. عايزة أعبر عن عادة في الماضي. ممكن استخدم used to بس هو جيب لي كلمة usually. يبقى this is repetition and this is wrong. ده كده تكرار مش مظبوط. It's gonna be a wrong structure. So whether to use he used to arrive, he used to arrive من غير ال D, or to say sorry, he usually arrived. He usually arrived. Okay? So this is one example. The other example, you at home yesterday morning. You at home yesterday morning. This is a good one because you need to differentiate. When are we going to use verb to be in the past simple? When are we going to use verb to do in questions? So am I going to say, did you at home yesterday? Of course, when I say yesterday, it means past. So will is wrong. Are is wrong. Okay? So we have did and where. Do we have another verb here? عندنا فعل تاني كده في الجملة? No, we have you at home yesterday. مفيش فعل تاني في الانفinitive. يبقى sure I can't use did. I will use where. So the correct answer is where. Were you at home yesterday morning? Okay. Where did you space to play when you were young? Where did you what? Use, used, using, uses. Of course, I have did. Then where did you use? In the infinitive. كنت متعود تلعب فين؟ First, she knocked on the door. الأول خبطت. She knocked. So I'm sequencing things. أنا بحاول أقول تتابع أحداث. First, she knocked on the door. Then she space inside. She had gone, went, was going, goes. Of course, when I say knocked in the past, then I need to use another verb in the past. I'm sequencing the events of the past experience. Then she went. دخلت. Okay, so knocked and went. خبطت ودخلت inside. Now, we came to an end. Unfortunately, خلصنا الحلقة. But of course, we have a lot to say about the grammar part. I promise you that we're going to talk about it more and more. And I will bring you more questions about the tenses. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed it and enjoy your whole life, and goodbye.